This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Good morning, Tom. We'll start with the question we just posed. You got a bunch of father-son, father-daughter combinations in sports. Is there anyone that you really enjoyed watching and still watch to this day? What's one that stands out to you?
Morning, everybody. I like the I think on the program notes you sent me, I saw a lot of the possibilities, and there was a lot of good ones out there. And Press Maravich, I didn't know his first name was Frank, and I'm not sure if that's who they were referencing, but yeah, Press. That was an interesting documentary on Pete Maravich that came out a couple, 3 years ago. I think I watched a big chunk of that, but father sons.
And his name was Frank, by the way. I'm just looking at his bio. At least if Wikipedia is right, it was Peter. So Petar.
Yeah.
Peter Press Maravich.
But everybody called him Press. You know, I don't know. I guess just a nickname. But anyway, now I've forgotten some of the ones you put in the program notes. But as I was reading through them, I was like, yeah, that's a good one. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a really good one. So,
here's one from, I was just thinking about college football, the Bowdens and coaching. I know it wasn't from a playing standpoint, but Bowdens had a great legacy with father and son from a coaching standpoint.
Well, yeah, I mean, and in my view, if that's the topic, father and sons in sports, then, yeah, it could be anything. It could be coaches. It could be both of them played. I mean, you think of Cal Ripken, senior and junior. Senior was he wasn't a great successful manager, but by gosh, he had two sons who played the game. Mm. So, there's a ton of them out there.
Yeah. Tom Murphy with us here on the McClarty Daniel Hotline. We are all set to go. Next week, we'll be at SEC Media Days. Hopefully, everything's going to go good. I know they're having a lot of construction in the downtown area. It's going to be kind of a circus down there next week at the Grand Hyatt. We were talking yesterday, and I think with you a little bit about Greg Sankey and some of the things he may address and further expansion and kind of what the future of this league is going to be. That still seems to be, I think, everyone's, overarching question. What does this league look like from a membership standpoint in, say, 36 months?
Absolutely, and adding Oklahoma and Texas gives a certain layer of prestige. Teams that are certainly capable of winning national championships in multiple sports. Oklahoma softball is a dynasty, and so is their gymnastics. And so if you're chalking up national championships, you've added a couple of strong contenders. I think Texas might have won it in some sport during the last year as well. And then, the marquee deal, the football programs, Oklahoma certainly won its share, and Texas won the one with Vince Young a few years ago. So but it does make scheduling a little bit unwieldy. It makes, the revenue distribution has got to be what comes along with it. And the way the market is right now, it wasn't. I mean, one of the reasons why they did not go probably immediately to a 9-game schedule in 24 is because the revenues weren't going up with it. And so it's going to be a deal where the SEC continues to be a blockbuster entity, a revenue generator, and can the broadcast partners come along with that and match that?
Yeah, from the peanut gallery where I sit, I think you got to wait till you get this playoff off the ground. See how that pans out. How can you maximize, and with conference champions being given an automatic seat at the top of the bracket, or at least the top four, how do you maximize out of the league's opportunity in the playoffs? And until you kind of figure out what the landscape on that's going to be, I don't think you can really know what you want to do as far as conference roster and how much further you'd want to expand.
Absolutely strong take right there. Yeah, I mean, why go about something willy-nilly when you don't have, a lot of the factors that you need to put into the equation, and playoff viability is one thing, and then the revenue part of it is another huge piece. So, yeah, I mean, he might get asked that question a lot, but there can't be any definitive answers, and I know. Yeah, sports media, we're in the kind of speculation and what's next business and all that. And you started seeing odds about North Carolina and Florida State, like immediately, and Clemson And I'm thinking, wait, going to 16 is going to be unwieldy to begin with. Are you talking about 18 or 20? I mean,
there's only so many seats on the playoff table. I mean, at some point you're working against you're cannibalizing yourself at some point. So I think you got to figure out, what's the appetite and landscape for that 5th or 6th team from a league in the same 12-team bracket. And till you figure that out, I don't know why you'd even think much more about expanding.
Yeah, so I'd like to see a cooling of the jets for a while. And I kind of went on a little deal on Tuesday with you guys about how I wasn't for expansion and, adding Missouri and A&M in 2012, throwing off the 12-team, 6-6 football bracket. But I guess it's worked out financially, and certainly the SEC has become just the dominant power in football in the last decade plus 1 year. So, SEC, it's a money maker and championship generator, and they know what they're doing.
Tom Murphy with us here on the Morning Rush, talking about some of the things coming up at SEC Media Days. Tom, shifting back here to Arkansas, August 4th apparently is when they're going to begin practice. So coaches got SEC Media Days next week in a couple of weeks to kind of get everything organized and staffed, and then players will hit the field that first Friday of August.
Yeah, it's coming at us fast now, and it's going to be a real interesting season. I was talking to somebody associated with the program about at the opening of camp. I mean, we're going to have to go out there with pictorial rosters to see who is who. I mean, you can match the numbers up, but golly, I mean, I like to know what these guys' faces look like. And there's been some recent videos put out, like, here are the offensive newcomers commenting on various topics. I'm like, wow, I'm going to have to get to know these guys. And maybe that's the wave in college football, and certainly with the Razorbacks, with the roster turnover they've experienced. And some of these guys that they've added since spring ball ended are going to be impact dudes, 2-deep guys that rack up some stats for you. So I don't know. I think I also look at that as kind of fun. Like, who's going to be the Dwight McLaughlin of this team and really be a contributor? Is there another Drew Sanders guy who just jumps on board and has a monster season?
Well, particularly on the offensive side at wide receiver, I mean, I know Satania and Bryce Stevens will be names that a lot of people know, but, Tesla and Armstrong and, Crockett and some of these other guys that are transfers or came through the portal, it's going to be a lot of getting familiar with, I think, particularly the wide receiver group.
Great point. And that's the thing. Like, last year when Hazelwood and Landers were going to be two of your biggest transfer guys, you're like, okay, Hazelwood comes from Oklahoma, just wants to get more stats, okay, but he came from Oklahoma, and Landers had started at Georgia, had been to Toledo, but these guys, they came from smaller programs, so they got hit with that question about midway through camp. Both guys appeared on a Zoom with us on the same day, and both had good senses of humor, and by then you could see they were starting to make an impact, and after that point, Tesla made some unbelievable catches. Armstrong overcame tweaking his knee early on in spring. And I felt by the end of spring that those two guys had established themselves as being able to get open against SEC cornerbacks. They're both tall. You can tell kind of what the program is for Sam Pittman, tall receivers, win 50-50 balls, that kind of thing. And then Tyrone Broden got hurt, and I don't think we saw the best of him. So he's another guy who you could throw in the mix. Hey, look, it hurt when Keytron Jackson did not return to this team, because I thought he would have had an outstanding junior season. But I do think I'm relatively comfortable with the talent level and what I saw from those guys in spring that they'll be able to produce on the SEC field.
Tom Murphy with us on the McClarty-Daniel hotline. I think we all fully expect Rocket Sanders to be on the SEC first-team selections next week. What kind of odds would you give KJ of maybe garnering a first-team honor or even a second-team honor?
Well, he's going to be on my ballot. Jaden Daniels at LSU, you got to think about him. Will Rogers will get some votes. And I don't know. When we're in Alabama, it just feels like Alabama guys get elevated on the ballots, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so
they stuff the ballot box. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some tight end shows up at media days, and suddenly he's a first-team preseason all SEC guy from Alabama. But I don't know. I think Daniels, Rogers, and KJ. There may be a couple more will garner the biggest percentage of the votes, but KJ's his numbers are just good. His touchdown to interception ratio, his completion percentage, his dual threat numbers, his rushing touchdown. I think he's got 19 in his career. That's all good stuff.
Yeah.
And the only question being, how well will he adapt to a different offensive philosophy? And but I think he'll get plenty of action here at Media Days.
Yeah, and one other thing to note, and we've probably said it before, but I think it bears repeating. Arkansas and Alabama not only are on the same day, but the same half day on Wednesday. And we have seen other teams struggle to even get oxygen and get some attention at Media Days when Nick Saban and Alabama is in the house. I don't know if being in Nashville, that'll be as true as it is in Hoover, but that is, I think, again, worth noting that Arkansas and Bama are in the same half day next week.
You're right. Yeah, when Saban shows up, it's funny to be down in the lobby when he's there because there's a mob scene of autograph seekers, and there's more media there when Alabama's there. And Nashville's not that super far away from Tuscaloosa and Birmingham, so there'll be plenty of Alabama media present. I'm not sure if Clark Lee's going to get the same treatment, but Josh Heupel, there's probably going to be a strong number of Tennessee fans in Nashville as well. So. Yeah, it seems to me Arkansas being a little bit further west in the conference doesn't get quite the hype. But, the Rocket and the guys who've done it on the field, they're going to get their share of consideration for all SEC teams.
All right, Tom Murphy, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, joins us every Tuesday and Thursday. Tom will get to do it in person next week in Nashville.
Yeah, man, I'll roll through there in time for this. It sounds good.
All right, Tom Murphy with us. We'll see you next week, buddy.
All right.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.